ecstasy is a very interesting drug. It's got an amphetamine-like effect, which makes people feel high and keen to keep going. At the same time, it's got an effect on inputs. It's like turning up all the inputs on a TV or a machine, so that everything seems more real and more immediate. One of the things about the drug is that it makes you ignore body signals, so that people carry on much longer than they would normally do so. And that's one of the big problems with the drug. The people who've actually died have all taken ecstasy. That's the drug that makes people keep going much more than they should until they collapse.
You almost feel left out in the dance club here if you're not on drugs. Drugs make you dance, don't they?
It's almost certain that the minimum of 1 million people have tried ecstasy, and of those a large proportion have used it quite a few times, and it could be as much as 5 million. Unlike acid in the 60s, when it was a relatively smaller number, and we really believed that this was the dawn of a new era and it was going to make tremendous social changes. In the case of E, people just take it for fun, and I first took it for fun, and it actually had quite a big impact on my life. I think that, like me, there's many other people who feel that taking ecstasy has improved their life, but there's also quite a large number of people, although less according to the survey I did in my book, who feel that ecstasy has made their life worse. It makes them depressed, it makes it harder for them to have motivation to do anything else. And, quite apart from that, they can use up all their money on taking ecstasy rather than investing in anything useful.
One of the interesting things about amphetamine and ecstasy is that if you give amphetamine to a single mouse in a cage, it will just sit there and do very little. If you give it to a group of mice, they're all running around. So it heightens the interaction.
Do I take drugs now?
Well, I mean, not every day, do you know what I mean?
No! Yeah. Not regularly. Not in the past 2 weeks, anyway.
The whole racing is built up from the E-culture, but I think people sometimes forget about the power of the actual music itself.
A lot of people are deciding not to take pills that are being sold at raves anymore, strictly because of the reason that they're not correct, they're no good. So the Ebenezer type character is still out there, but it's getting smaller all the time. We talk about designer drugs. It seems like most of the pills that are on the market have been designed to make people money, which is a real shame, you know.
A year or so ago, there was a vast amount of news about ecstasy. It seems to have calmed off, but really that's just that it's lost its newsworthy character. It's still there. It's available all over the country, and people are using it widely. Long-term users of ecstasy can lose weight, they can get cramps because they're not replacing salts and fluids properly, and sometimes they get boils and skin infections, largely because they've been sweating so furiously. It's said that there have been a number of cases of depression, anxiety and panic attacks, psychosis, and even some suicides in people who've taken ecstasy for a period of time. I can well believe this. I get letters from people who, usually the parents of somebody who has been really changed. Their life has been totally altered, and usually they have a severe depression which doesn't respond to any of the normal medicines or drugs.
Most people, when they sample their first drug, find it a pleasurable experience for whatever reason. Okay, what the advice needs to tell them is, yes, you might find your first drug experience pleasurable, but it can lead on to these dangers.
These products basically offer a good alternative to illegal substances. People are always going to be looking for a high. This provides a high that is natural, clean, and is good for you, whereas the other highs you get mainly are not good for you in the long term.
So it's the Fast Blast, which for the dance party seems to be the most popular one, as it's the one that gives you a much more really strong effect, but we think that 3 or 4 of them are actually really very, very good for the dance party, because obviously here, energy is what matters.
This was the first smart drink I've had tonight. Probably need another 2 or 3. Keep me going all night.
It's different to a can of Coke, isn't it, really? You only got to look around you at the people in the event later on tonight to see that basically ecstasy is doing no good to those people. It's destroying a lot of their minds, a lot of their bodies, and at the end of the day, we're offering a healthy alternative.
Before I get to people talk about the drinks.
I mean, there's vast numbers more of theoretical chemical substances which have never been tried. And I'm sure over the next decade or so that we'll see a large number of new drugs on the market.
There is some animal work which suggests that ecstasy does harm neurons permanently. And if it does this to us, to man, it may well be that over a period of years there will be more cases of depression and possibly psychosis. And this is a worry, it's a real concern, because we don't know the answer.
In every country you've got your Cilla Black and you've got your Gary Glitter and, you know, all those creatures, I guess. And, you know, I guess I can't refuse that I'm one of them in Iceland, you know. I wasn't exactly brought up in a commune because all the people there did normal jobs, you know, but they were definitely hippies. And I was definitely brought by that generation. And I look at it as being very lucky. I was always into from day one to try as many things as possible. And I'm really conscious about it. I've only got one life, and there's about 90,000 things yet to be done. So I think quite young I was like out there for experience. Well, I did like a children's album when I was 11. They had several of my own songs on it. And it was supposed to be like this hit in Iceland, which actually was. Sugar Cubes was a group of friends that knew each other very much and respected each other very much. And the music was sort of a secondary thing. But what this album of mine now is kind of where I come from more. Kind of a little bit of jazz, a little bit of sort of experimental stuff, a lot of sort of world music. And that rock and roll thing has never been my cup of tea, if you want. The way I look at dance music is that it's not only something linked to DJs and linked with, you know, 1986, Summer of Love or whatever. The way I like to look at it is comes from way back, you know, the way from Eno and Tangerine Dream, Kraftwerk, all the things that are happening in Europe. I don't look at myself as a top businesswoman, but I've got a lot of obligation towards my sons, and I deal with them a little bit like the same way as I deal with my own child. Like I have to fight for them, you know, and I'm ready to fight for them really hard. I've got certain duties, and one of my main duties is that, well, especially for me moving to England and being a bit of an immigrant housewife in London City, you know, is to get it into British people's minds that there's more people in the world than British people, and there are people with last names like me, women's name, which you can't pronounce, and there's actually a lot of bands out there that are not British at all. And London in many ways is a bit like John Hurt, not the actor, a bit sort of pollution and a bit sort of not in top health, you know. I think it's quite charming actually. I love the way he talks, you know, kind of like, you know. When it comes to actually British culture, no disrespect, it's not really my cup of tea. It just seems to stand for everything that I don't stand for. Very conservative, very sort of traditional, sort of well-behaved and polite. Well, I seem to be into all them sort of intimate, sort of spontaneous things. I guess I probably should have moved to Venezuela, you know, something like that, you know. I'm romantic in an extreme way. I don't like tricky things. I'm not so into them soft pink, sort of that vibe. I like sort of fierce romanticism.
How come the only ravers you ever see have got young, tall, nubile bodies? Are there any short, fat ravers out there?
Hello, this is Lucifer. How are you?
Oh, it's great, boys. Getting better every week.
We are the future. We are the
Hi, you can see me next week on Hypnosis, telling my second most intimate secret.
We are the future.
I'd rather watch 3 hours of Top of the Pops. And I want to hear some Sinatra. And I'm not leaving my name on my address because I'm too scared to.
Hello, I'd like a medium thin crust with pepperoni, anchovies, sweet corn, pineapple, and extra cheese.